Do you ever spend hours putting information into your brain, reading, highlighting, watching videos, only to find that days later it doesn't seem to be there anymore? It's frustrating, right? And it reveals a crucial truth, that learning is not simply about what we put in, it's about what you can get out. Thrice Is Nice is a principle that we're going to explore in this video, and it's one that's going to help you and potentially others around you to master both your memory and your learning. When you master how to effectively get information out of your brain, you unlock a powerful, science-backed way to consolidate knowledge. This will dramatically impact your own learning, as well as giving you the skills to be able to affect the people around you in their learning as well. And to do this, we're going to lean on the research of pioneers such as Ebbinghaus, Elizabeth and Robert Bjorks, as well as experts such as Barbara Oakley, Beth Rogowsky and Terrence Sejnowsky. They seem to know a thing or two about this matter. Think about the last time that you read a chapter or you reviewed some key information. It felt like you got it, right? However, this faint initial learning or understanding often resides in our working memory, and this is heavily reliant on areas of the brain such as the hippocampus. And here is where the trickery happens. That feeling of familiarity that happens in the moment feels like knowledge. You feel like you've learnt it, but it's more akin to thinking you can ride a bike because you've watched someone else do it. And that is the illusion of learning, sometimes called the illusion of fluency. Researchers like Larry Jacoby, and later highlighted in practical terms by experts including the Bjorks, have shown how common but misleading this feeling can be. You mistake the ease of processing the information now for the ability to be able to recall it later. Unfortunately, time is not kind to these faint memories. As famously shown by Hermann Ebbinghaus in his research on memory and the forgetting curve, information you don't actively engage with rapidly fades away over time. That familiar knowledge quickly becomes inaccessible. The problem is that your hippocampus doesn't automatically or effectively direct that new knowledge to your neocortex unless it receives a signal that it is important. And simply putting it in is not enough of a signal. So how do we send it that strong signal? Well, by trying to pull that knowledge back out. You see, at the core of retrieval is the ability to recall the information after that faint initial learning. And the more that we do that, the more we strengthen that process. And it's not just about doing it, but when you do it. Research on space retrieval by experts like the Bjorks, Robert and Elizabeth, shows that spacing out these retrieval attempts over time is far more effective than trying to retrieve it all at once. The spacing makes the retrieval slightly harder, which is the key, the desirable difficulty. Whilst the optimal number of retrieval attempts can vary, a body of research suggests that retrieving information successfully around 3 times after the initial learning provides a particularly strong framework for consolidating that knowledge. Think of this as thrice as nice, a powerful rule of thumb that is going to give those repeated signals to the brain that it needs. So why does space retrieval work so well? Because it introduces desirable difficulty. When you try to recall something after a short delay, it requires more effort than recalling it immediately. This effortful but successful retrieval tells your brain, hey, this information is important, I need to access it regularly. This effort itself strengthens the memory trace. These repeated, effortful retrieval events signal to the brain that stronger connections should be made, that this is in fact important, therefore is more likely to be transferred and integrated into the neocortex. Think of it as using sturdy, well-built pathways from the temporary working memory to the more permanent long-term memory. If you're finding this helpful, like and subscribe, and potentially share with that forgetful friend of yours who might need a little help with their memory too. Okay, so how do you put Thrice Is Nice and retrieval practice into action for you and for people around you? Well, it's actually quite simple, and it all comes down to quizzing and questioning. Quizzing is a fantastic form of retrieval practice, especially for foundational knowledge. It involves recalling specific facts, terms, or basic concepts. Think flashcards, simple recall prompts, or filling in the blanks. In terms of solo taxonomy, the educational framework developed by John Biggs, quizzing helps to operate at the unistructural level, where you are able to recall one relevant piece of information. There is also the multistructural level, where you are able to recall several pieces of information, but are not necessarily in a position of being able to link them together yet. Getting these basic retrievals right helps to set the stage. But to move beyond basic recall and truly consolidate that complex understanding, we need questioning. And questioning is that ability to retrieve that information, to manipulate it, to connect it to other ideas, explain it, and even apply it in new ways. Questioning pushes you into the higher levels of the solo taxonomy. This includes the relational level, where seeing how different pieces of information can link together, and the extended abstract level, where you connect ideas to broader principles, generalize, and help to apply them in novel situations. Asking why, or how does this relate to, or can I explain this in my own words, are powerful forms of retrieval that build deeper understanding. And remember, when helping others learn, don't just re-explain. Guide their retrieval. Start with a simple recall and then move to the deeper questioning, helping them to make those connections and to build that understanding in a way that is going to be useful for them moving forward. So we've seen the illusion of learning at play, that feeling of familiarity that tricks us into thinking that we know something, only to find, because of the forgetting curve, it is long past. We've learned that simply getting information in isn't enough, that the true consolidation comes when the hippocampus is able to transfer that to the neocortex. And that's where that active process of retrieval really helps us to lock it in. And the principle of Thrice Is Nice provides a practical starting point. Aiming for around 3 spaced retrieval attempts significantly strengthens memory, leveraging the power of desirable difficulty, as shown by the Bjorks, to signal importance to your brain. And finally, remember that learning isn't simply about what you put in, it's about what you can get out. Intentionally incorporating ideas such as the retrieval practice, the simple quizzing to the more complex questioning is going to make a large difference to the framework in terms of how you better your memory. This will apply to both you and to the people around you and will have lasting benefits for your learning.